Well, we're back. We're recording. We're just rolling right into it.
All right.
Happy
Cheers.
Friday. Cheers, Ariel. I've got El Presidente, Ariel Brown here in the house, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jake, friendly neighborhood Lieutenant Airhead. Ariel, what are you drinking over there?
So this is our revisit to one of the breweries, our local breweries. This is Fritz Family Brewing here in Niwot. Um,
I love
Stopped
Fritz.
by there last week, so they do almost exclusively German style beers. So this is their Dortmunder, and it's kind of somewhere between a Helles and a Pilsner, and it is delicious. Um, yeah, this is the first time I've had it. I got a six packs of it last week, and sipping away at it the
It's quite a
last of
masterful
the week.
pour you've got over there, too.
Yeah, that's one of the things learned is again, I think we've talked about this maybe before, but yeah, do not pour gently, pour hard, um, release the CO2 here instead of in your stomach. Um, Ultimately,
And to your friends.
yeah.
Well, I've got my non-alcoholic beverage for today, my mighty cold pressed watermelon juice from Evolution Fresh. And this is my like favorite stuff. I love cold pressed watermelon juice.
I've
And
noticed.
yeah, it is definitely like my favorite stuff ever. And just to have, but for what it's worth for anyone out there who's ever nursing a hangover, um, this is the magic remedy. This is the silver bullet for a hangover, is cold pressed watermelon juice. Um, it's just super hydrating, loaded with electrolytes. It'll get you back up on your feet in no time. I mean, not that I have too much experience with that or anything, I swear. Um, but it tastes amazing and it'll make you feel like $1,000,000 if you're feeling hungover. Um, but yeah, we've got a lot of really cool stuff going on right now. There's a lot of exciting air activity. We've got like
Yeah.
a handful of reviews that I was going to kind of mention to people to go check out.
Recent reviews, yeah.
So some recent reviews, and then got a show announcement that I think is appropriate to drop now, so it gives people time to plan
Okay.
and hopefully come out and hang out with me or us, maybe.
Hopefully, both of us. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's a little early to say just yet, but yeah, we're hoping we'll both go.
I'm definitely going.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get to that. And then yeah, I mean, I guess show related and you're pouring this nice German-esque beer. We are not going to be in Munich this year.
No.
Yeah, we kind of held back from that, which is kind of a bummer because this is going to be the last
That's
year
right.
for Munich high end.
That's right.
Because next year it's in Vienna.
Moving to Vienna, which I definitely want to go next year. I'm very interested in visiting Vienna. I have a good friend there who went to college here in Boulder, and he's been there for many years, and so I'm really love to go visit him as well as see Vienna. And
Yeah,
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 so
I want to go too. I'm kind of a sucker for things made in Germany and Austria for certain things, and I ride a KTM motorcycle, which happens to be that mine was made in Austria,
good.
not one of the outsourced factories, but yeah, it was made in Austria. So visiting KTM would be pretty fun. Um, so yeah, no Munich, but we will do another show. So as far as reviews, yeah, lots of stuff to check out. So I mean, in case this slipped past anyone's radar, we got our latest line stage preamp, the KX8 variable gain preamp, has made its way to part-time audiophile, and reviewer Greg Neville did a really nice write-up for it. One of the things that I really like about part-time audiophile is they do they actually add some extra photos to other than the stock photos that we provide for them. So Greg kind of opened the unit up, took some photos of the inside of the unit So anyone who wants to geek out and see the beautiful, spacious symmetry and the layout methodology of Ariel Brown, they can they can see
Yeah.
what we did with that product there, thanks to Greg. But it was pretty cool because we sent Greg a KX8, or he picked one up for that matter. He actually picked it up from our dealer in Chicago, Musical Artisans. They had one from a in-house dealer event that we did, and Greg happens to live out that way, so he was able to physically pick it up from them. But it had our 8 series kind of core DAC board installed in it,
Mhm.
and he got a chance to play around with it as it was, and we gave him the option to test with USB or network streaming capability, and he opted for the USB connection. So we sent
Okay.
him our newest second generation design USB 2 board, and he installed it himself and does a write up in there of how that process went, and gives our followers or people who are curious about this product, gives you some insight as to how that process works and just how easy it is for the end user
Right.
to install that piece themselves, which is a little bit of a departure from what we did with something like the QX520, right? Because there's no wiring needed for
In
this.
the X8, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just two screws, and then there's, a PCIe Express style connector. So it just a board to board connection. Yeah, so there's no wires, no terminals, no screwdrivers, anything like that. So it just slides on, has gold contacts, and then just two screws secure it to the rear panel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it could have been much easier. It's I think the hardest part's getting the top panel off.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. But no, it's a
Yep.
great review though. He did a bang up job, and I love the photos that he took of the unit. You can actually see it in a system, which is nice. And then just as recent as the 25th of April, we got another KX8 review published by Stereophile.
Yep.
So that is up on their website. And I'll try to put links for these in the description of this video so it's easy for people to just jump to and check them out. But that one was done by a
Another.
long time reviewer and air user, well familiar with our products throughout time, John Atkinson.
Yep.
So John put the KX8 through its paces. We sent him a fully spec'd unit, so it did have the USB 2 card, the Net 2 card, and our core DAC board loaded into the preamp, so he was able to get a full scope of what it's capable of. One thing I really like about that product when you outfit it with the DAC is, it turns it into so much more than just a preamp. I mean, if there's anyone out there shopping around for even just a DAC, even if they don't need analog input connectivity,
Mhm.
this KX8 with the digital section loaded into it becomes a real compelling product because, whereas with a DAC, you're gonna either need a preamp anyways, or
Right. The volume control on, yeah.
yeah, or you're stuck with digital volume control,
Yep.
which is kind of a additive or subtractive situation with your data. I know we've touched on that a little bit, but do you want to
Yeah.
explain kind of what happens when you use digital volume control and you're not at a full 100% volume?
Well, again, it's just a math function. And so, kind of depending on specifically how many dB you're trying to reduce by, it's uh, as far as binary math goes, it's really easy to do multiples of 6 dB. So if you want to reduce by 6 dB, which is, essentially halving the voltage amplitude, you shift the bits over by one, which is takes almost no computation whatsoever. shift the bits over, but you are losing a bit of resolution since you're still in digital domain. As long as you're doing that, at a single sample rate and such. So the more you attenuate, the more bits you are losing. And when we're talking about typical listening levels, it's often well below full scale. It's almost impossible to be listening at full scale analog levels. And so, when you think about your preamp, your volume is down usually tens or 20s of dB below full scale easily,
Hmm.
not 30, 40 potentially. If you're doing that in the digital realm, just straight up with no sample rate conversion, you're losing a lot of resolution. So that's the bottom line of it.
Is there
Uh,
is there something stand out that we're doing with ours that's a little different than others?
yeah, which you can go back and look at and watch the previous videos that we talked specifically about this. Yeah, but yeah, so that if you do, uh, there's some tricks to be done when you're doing it as part of a pretty large upsampling scheme. And so you're spreading essentially, it's kind of a question of kind of spreading the noise. And so you can effectively lose fewer bits, and it's a real um, um, trick of math that it works, but it does. And so we can keep, with the bit depth and with the upsampling, we can keep when we do like our digital volume control in the codecs or the QX8, we can keep up to 16 bits of resolution all the way down to minus 60 dB of attenuation. Um, so that's still really good. It's still not as good as a well done analog volume control.
Yeah, precisely. So so that bringing us back to the
Okay,
KX8, that's where kind of the magic really comes in because you get that full scale bit depth and resolution from the DAC section
yeah,
flowing over to this analog volume control, which is kind of a new twist on our kind of a signature technology almost to us in some regards, our variable gain stage
yeah,
volume
true
control.
variable gain. Yep. Yeah. So the only twist here is, when we've done it, previous products that had used more the stepped rotary switch style where there are discrete steps. This is more of a continuously analog potentiometer. So we call it, our what do we term it? Our continuously variable gain
Trans
transimpedance
impedance, yeah.
volume control. Yes, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
I can't even remember it. But yes, so it's the same point in the circuit. It works the same way. It's just that it's more or less infinitely variable.
Same
Um,
point in the circuit as KX5,
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 AX5, KXR,
KXR.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The variable gain, it works exact same way in the circuit. So all of the same benefits because it's the same.
Yep. Whereas with like our EX8, that's using a more traditional attenuator.
Pre-attenuator, yeah, before the gain stage. Correct.
So yeah, I mean for someone shopping for a preamp or specifically a DAC,
Okay.
they can take advantage of this unique volume control method with their digital sources now. And yeah, John Atkinson touches on that a bit in here and provides some good measurements. John's actually been a long time user of our QA9
Okay.
for his measurements as well, which is pretty awesome. I think you see that Air QA9 and his associated gear with pretty much every review that he does. Um, another one that kind of maybe flew under the radar a little bit for a lot of our um, followers in the States here was back in January, there was an EX8 2.0 review that's pretty new for from the UK actually.
Hmm.
So that was Hi-Fi Plus that put this out, and so yeah, just the EX8's been out for good good while now, since late 2017 or 2018 is when it came out.
Uh, I'm pretty sure 2016, 2017, 2017, I believe.
I think it was
We
2017.
moved here in 2018, and so I'm pretty sure it was um, either early, it might have been early 2018 we started shipping.
Sounds about right. I mean,
Could
it,
go back, look at the records, but it's close enough.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
So,
it's been out for a good few years now, about
yeah,
7 years.
roughly 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still managing to win people over. It
Mm.
is kind of one of our most well-rounded products right now, being a integrated amplifier
Yep.
capable of being loaded in with a DAC,
Yep.
USB input, network input. I mean, it's kind of the one piece to rule them all kind of thing. It's like if you could only show somebody one piece from us, that might be the one right there. But yeah, that's a new review that came through from the UK, and there's another one from Croatia that just got posted about the uh, EX8 2.0 as well. And um, I will have to post the translation
Right.
for it. I think I'll post this up in our news section, since this one is probably of all these reviews that I just mentioned, it was probably the oldest one. Uh, so I'll start with that one. So I'll post that in our news section on our website, and I will post the English text in the body, but I'll put a link in there too so people can go and see the gorgeous
Right.
photos of that unit that they had took and posted up there. Um, yeah, a lot of review love right now,
Yep.
and I think that next up on the docket is going to be the PX8. We're going to start very soon
Yeah, absolutely.
trying to get that out to reviewers so people can see and read and get a sense of what they're missing out on with this brand new product.
That's right.
Um,
Mm.
Show announcements. So should probably break the news. But we so last year we hit it pretty hard. We did quite a few shows. We did the Southwest Audio Fest, we did Axpona, we did Munich, we did Capital Audio
Wow.
Fest. Um, that
Pacific.
Oh, and Pacific Audio Fest. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we did. Yeah. And you weren't even there.
No,
Yeah, so we had quite a good run of shows last year. I was feeling a little showed out almost. It's a lot of work. I mean,
it's a lot of work.
like you have no, most people have no idea what it's like to just like walk into that hotel room and there's just boxes everywhere, and then you got to start unpacking things and setting it all up and dialing in the room, making sure it sounds good.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just the first step. Yeah. And there's just being on and talking to people, which is for some of us is a lot of hard work. Um,
Yeah.
Not my forte.
Well, once Friday hits, it's go time, and there's thousands in attendance in these things sometimes, and it just becomes a revolving door of people and customers and questions, and
Yep.
um, it is a lot to keep up with, but I'm excited for this year because we're going to try some new shows, new for us. But the first show that we'll announce here is we are going to exhibit at the California Audio Show, or the SoCal Show, and that's the home entertainment
Yep.
brand of shows. And that's going to be the first weekend of June, June 6th through the 8th, down in Costa Mesa, California.
Yeah. Just
Ooh.
sneaking right up in just barely over a month. I can't believe it's May already.
Yeah, it'll be here in no time, and I'm really anxious for it. I think it's going to be a great show. We're gonna, I think, focus on some 8 series equipment and try to punch above the price point weight class a little bit with a good 8 series system there.
Mhm.
And we're actually getting some support from our friends at Seawave on this
Okay.
show. So I think we're going to be rocking some
Yeah.
stand mount Seawave acoustic
Nice.
speakers that are going to be sent out here for us to show off, and that way we can keep a high performing yet
Yeah.
kind of modest setup
Right.
in that room, and um, probably going to bring a PX8 and maybe a
Absolutely.
CX8, and ideally be spinning some physical media, whether it's analog or digital, but that would be, I think, the
Right.
focus, and KX8, VX8, so just kind of really showing off the capability of the separates system setup for the 8 series there. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited for this room.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So that is coming up in, yeah, roughly a month here. So
Yeah.
hopefully we see some of you guys out there. That might be a show worth traveling to, checking out. The people that run it seem amazing. And it's not quite official yet, but there's a new edition for them this October that might hit our calendar. So it's not confirmed yet, but
Okay.
I think that that is possibly on the horizon for us as well. So it's really New York, New Jersey, kind of right on the edge there. Um, but yeah, come and see us in Costa Mesa, California, first weekend of June. That's all like kind of
Okay.
the current event stuff that I've got going on. Tried looking for some exciting news in the Absolute Sound and stereo file, but nothing really jumped out at me there. Um, but I kind of thought it would be fun to maybe take the last bit of this to go down a little rabbit's hole. And when I was so I was gonna say when I was a kid, I was into this stuff, but I'm still kind of a kid and I'm still into this stuff. But I've always been into comic books. Like Marvel Comics
Hmm.
was a big deal for me growing up, and there was this series that I always thought was really cool called the What If series, and it was like just the most far out there kind of things. It'd be like, what if the spider that bit Spider-Man bit Wolverine instead, or something like that. It's like it was those kind of stories, and it's like stuff that's so far out there. But I was thinking it'd be cool to talk about our own little what if, and my thought was, what if Air Acoustics made a pure Class A amplifier? Dun dun dun. I'm intrigued by the concept, but I know that you have some thoughts behind that, and kind of the you can lay out
Yeah.
some of the technical challenges and things that need to kind of be considered for something like that.
Boy, yeah. I mean, yeah. So, we talk about Class A, pure Class A, so basically not allowing it to the output stage to leave Class A.
Hmm.
And so to do that, you have to bias the output stage very high, which means it means a lot of idle heat to dissipate. And so you have to balance just how much power you can spec it at, which is not going to be very much unless you want to make just a refrigerator sized amp. So yeah, then you've got to downrate the power or also increase the heat dissipation. Um, and we've I've never actually tried it or played with it, thought about it plenty, and Charlie and I talked about it various times. Um, you know, um, I think that it would make more sense it's a little easier to do with a MOSFET output stage, just because they, there's at least with a bipolar output stage, there's kind of a sweet spot for the bias. And so if you go above that, then they're not going to run where they're happiest. But so then to be able to get a very useful output power range with a bipolar output stage, with that kind of sweet spot of bias of each transistor, you're just going to have a ludicrous number of parallel devices to be able to get uh, any I don't know, acceptable power output
Yeah.
rating. It would be a little bit easier with the MOSFET output stage because in general, the higher you bias it, the better. They are just kind of linearly upwards, whereas the bipolars have this asymptotic, they have a sweet spot. And the MOSFETs generally, the more bias you can give them, the better, with the limit being heat and power dissipation. So those to me are the biggest things to wrestle with. But and again, I've never actually experimented with it, so I just don't know. Um, you know, if those efforts would be worth it. I mean, to our way of thinking, generally not. I think that we have our bias figured out well enough, and that kind of crossover done really well that you know, it you know, it's again, it is currently a what if just because we have never believed that that was a the right compromise.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of compromises there. And so I think, as far as the best value, the best performance to value ratio is definitely with the Class A B design. And so that's what we've been about.
Well, if
Um,
you look at like the landscape of Class A amplifiers, I mean, they range anywhere from as low as 5 watts of pure Class A, or in a lot of
okay.
regards up to, a couple hundred watts of Class A, sometimes more. And but you turn into this, yeah, as you said, a refrigerator sized amplifier. So the higher up in that power you go, the significantly larger it becomes. But,
Yeah.
there's such a wide range of, I guess, acceptance for Class A power. And I think it's just
Yeah.
because like the application for the speakers that they're going to be partnered with can vary so much. And a lot of those lower watt ones are going to be going towards like real high sensitivity speakers that don't require as
Much
much
power. Yeah.
out of it. Um, so I think that there is potential demand for a low to modest powered Class A amp.
Yeah.
Um, and then since I think our first, was it two amplifiers used MOSFETs?
Mhm.
I don't see it being out of the question that we could come up with a modern day air
Yeah.
amp that used MOSFETs to to really just squeeze what we can out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have to find. I mean, I don't believe the MOSFETs we used in either of those, the particular devices we used in those amps are currently available anymore. But that doesn't mean there aren't others.
Yeah,
But
I know you probably haven't geeked out on this too much, but something that I've been looking at kind of out on the horizon, becoming more easily accessible for us and maybe some other people in the audio industry. Maybe I shouldn't give this away. But synthetic diamond transistors. I think that that's something like there's some Japanese universities that have like diamond FETs and
I'm not familiar
yeah,
yet.
so like something that will handle ludicrous amounts of heat
Mhm.
and not face the same issues that the current run-of-the-mill transistors can run into. So it's still pretty early. I don't think that's something that we can
Yeah.
really get our hands on quite easily right
Right.
now. But it's just another one of those what if kind of things down
Right.
the road here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, devices like that, certainly in the modern day are they're going to be geared towards um, much 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 different industries and more for switching times and more for like switching applications and so they're it's harder and harder to find parts that are um, appropriate for the needs of an audio circuit and so a lot of those whenever you see a lot of those like new devices and new device topologies and new device, chemical makeups and all that stuff. You know, like, you know, like a gallium nitride or carbide or whatever it is. Like a lot of those, again, are for for more appropriate for like switching power supplies and maybe a switching amp in that case, but not for a linear amplifier good for audio. So I'd be very skeptical.
Well, another application that I think would be really cool having a pure Class A amplifier is running like a bi-amped system as well. And you've got preamps from us like the KX520 or the KXR20 that have for each channel outputs,
Dual balanced output.
dual
Yeah.
balanced outputs. Um, being able to run, maybe one of those to an MXR for the bass section
Mhm.
and one of those to um, the ludicrous amp or whatever we'd want to
Right.
call that for our Class A
Right.
amplifier to the mids and highs. That
Yep.
that could be a really cool scenario where you really don't need a lot of
A lot of
extra.
overall power, but you can break it up. Yeah, and so you need the appropriate power for each section. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've got that capability in with our preamps, and lots of speakers these days have that ability to do that too.
Yep.
So, hmm, hmm. So if you could build your signature amp, what would it look like? The Ariel Brown signature amplifier. Is there anything that we haven't done yet that you're anxious to do?
Well, I mean, there was certainly some ideas in that fulcrum amp that we think we looked at
Yeah.
last year. So as far as semi-regulated output supply, some stuff like that. There's some other coupling techniques as far as the output devices that I would love to do, but I won't give away any more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll try to squeeze more bits of information out of you for another episode, I guess. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what our viewers take on a Class A amp would
Mhm.
be, like if people have any comments as to how much power, you feel is acceptable, or, if you want to give some feedback as to, if how you would be using it or what kind of speakers you'd pair it up with. I mean, it'd be good, some good information that I can keep throwing at this guy, maybe. And it's always useful marketing fodder for me to kind of figure out what people are doing with their systems and how their thoughts on system design are going these days. So yeah, give me some feedback in the comments if you guys want to see a Class A amplifier from Air Acoustics one day. Um, that was my big what if question. I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think you kind of hit most of what we can really touch on it. Unless you just want to keep taking me down a Class A amp rabbit's hole.
No, no, I don't have anything else to throw at it just now without thinking on it for a week. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah. And I did kind of spring this on you like
yeah,
an hour ago, so
yeah,
I'm pretty good about that.
yeah.
I like to improv. Um, well, yeah. I mean, we got a lot of reviews. We got a show. We're not going to Munich, but we'll be in California. We did hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is pretty
Nice.
epic. And that MXR video that we put out a couple weeks ago has over 1,000 views on it alone. So I know people
Nice.
they're pretty stoked to talk about amplifiers or hear us talk about amplifiers. And I had a lot of people reach out going like, "Oh my God, those things are so beautiful." And
Yeah,
so I know people like having the props up on the table.
yeah.
So maybe we'll have to keep chugging away at our product history because those
Mm.
were that the MXR is the 14th product.
Mhm.
And so do you remember what the 15th product was? Because
Yep.
it was whatever came in between the MXR and the KXR. It's the 15th product. I didn't.
And off the top of my head,
I couldn't find my cheat sheet.
that yeah, boy, because yeah, I thought the KXR seemed like it came was the next product
That's
with that number
16. Yeah.
16 in our list. So yeah, no,
Oh, DPS? No,
timing's not right. No,
no. Okay. It's a mystery. So
we'll figure that out.
we'll find out, and then tune in
All right.
next week for the 15th product,
All right.
and then we'll be set up to break into the KXR right after, which that's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'll
Then
have
we'll
a
also do 2 episodes on that one. That one's so big. There's so much to talk about there.
yeah, for
That
sure.
was a big one.
I think we'll plan for that. I mean, I think the MXR is going to
That
technically
was,
turn into 2 episodes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, probably should have.
yeah. No,
Okay.
I think the hour
Good.
was perfect for
All
that
right.
one, but I mean, I think that there's going to be more to add to that at some point, so there will be a
Yeah.
follow-up episode for that, and yeah, it's going to be great to kind of show off that KXR, show off the guts, show people how it's working. I think that there's still just probably a large number of people that don't quite haven't had a chance to wrap their head around how the volume control mechanism is built and
Yep.
set up in there, so we could probably have one assembled and have a channel module
Right.
here to like take
Yeah.
people through it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to dig up some more props because I still have some stuff laying around from even before we had it in chassis yet. I've got some some experiments we did, I think, that we can show off
Yeah.
eventually. So
And the PX8 episode has done pretty well for us, but we didn't really get a chance to dive in too deep on the A to D section. And
yeah.
so once we're done kind of with some of the final firmware testing and working some things out for that particular option,
Yeah, we'll come back and revisit
yeah,
that part of it. Yeah. No
yeah,
good.
I might even use the A to D with my interface and like we can set up a turntable. We can do a digital out
Yeah.
into the interface and hopefully we don't get in
Yeah.
trouble for some copyright issues. But
If you
um,
choose your music wisely.
yes, exactly. But we could spin some music with the digital out into the recording interface here, and then our viewers at home, if they've got some good headphones, will be able to get a sense of what that thing sounds like in the digital domain at least.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, although I'm not sure what YouTube was. I don't think we're not going to be able to transmit it at 192K or DSD or anything like that
It'll, yeah,
through YouTube.
yeah,
But anyway,
it'll compress.
yes.
So yeah, we'll find a good old record that nobody will sue us for playing, and it'll be awesome. So, but yeah, I think that's our update for this week.
All right.
Cheers, Ariel.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Yep, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Yeah, Class AM. I want to go Class AM. Even if
I'd
it's
be,
like 40,
I'd be curious.
40
Fun.
watts, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually,